All right, welcome back. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I hope you're enjoying this holiday week as we continue our BCBA exam review series, where we're going through a full BCBA exam question by question and breaking down each question, how I think you should think about it when you're taking your actual exam. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying my videos. If you're looking for our study materials, please check out our website, bcbastudy.com. We offer a full practice exam, a 5th edition task list study guide, and a combo pack, which includes both. We have our second practice exam on the way. If you purchase the combo pack or the practice exam now, you will receive that for no cost when it does come out. So be sure to check out all those study materials. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below or email me. I'm happy to help. Other than that, enjoy your holidays. Let's keep working hard, keep studying hard, and get to our questions. 131, based on the following table, find the IOA using exact count per interval, IOA. So this is an inter-observer agreement question. Do not be intimidated by IOA questions. What the test really wants to know is, do you understand what IOA is? Why do we use it? When do we use it? And how do we use it? They might not even ask you math questions for IOA on the exam, but you do need to be prepared if they do. The secret to IOA questions: you need to understand why each individual IOA has a specific name. Because if you understand why each IOA measurement type is named the way it is, it's going to tell you exactly what you're looking for. What do I mean by that? I mean, if we're looking for exact count per interval IOA, it's telling us what we need. We're going to look at all of our intervals. We're looking at 5 intervals, and we're going to find what intervals match the exact count. Meaning, for data points, RBT1 and RBT2, which ones of their intervals match? Okay, so look, interval 1, RBT1, 3, RBT2, 3. These are exact counts. They're equal. That's what we're looking for. So how many intervals out of the 5 can we find that pattern? We have 1, interval 2. RBT1 is 2, RBT2 is 1. That is not the exact count match. We will not count that. Interval 3, 0 and 0. That is an exact count. 4 and 5, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, not an exact count. So how many of our intervals are an exact count where both participants taking IOA data match? Well, we have 1 and 3. So 2 out of our 5 have an exact count per interval, IOA. 2 divided by 5 is going to give us 40%. And that's really how simple IOA is. If you just understand what IOA the test is looking for, and you just understand why it's named the way it is, it's a piece of cake, okay? Don't be intimidated by IOA because it's math or because you don't really use it that often in this context. Just understand why each IOA is termed the way it is, and it's going to tell you exactly what you're looking for when you go to your data. So in this question, 2 out of our 5 were exact count per intervals, okay, which gives us 40%. 132, each morning, Tiffany's mother stops at the coffee shop and orders a medium black coffee. When Tiffany is in the passenger seat, she will grab at her mom's coffee cup, which poses a safety risk to both Tiffany and her mom. Your BCBA recommends that the mom orders Tiffany a drink as well. When Tiffany is holding on to her drink with both hands and not grabbing for her mom's, Tiffany is allowed to listen to her playlist. However, if Tiffany grabs her mom's coffee cup, Tiffany's mom shuts down the music. What best describes Tiffany's mom's intervention? Okay, so we have a differential reinforcement question here. Let's first ask ourselves, are we teaching a replacement behavior? In this case, we are, okay? What are we trying to teach Tiffany? We're trying to teach her to, 1, hold on to her drinks with both hands. And why are we doing that? We're trying to replace grabbing for her mom's coffee cup, okay? So we know we're teaching a replacement behavior. We can eliminate DRO. Are we trying to eliminate a behavior entirely? Yes. We're trying to eliminate Tiffany grabbing at the coffee cup. So we can eliminate DRL. That leaves us with DRA and DRI. With DRA and DRI, we're trying to put one behavior on extinction and eliminate it while teaching another behavior. What's the key difference between DRA and DRI? Well, DRA okay? We're teaching a behavior that can occur at the same time as the old behavior. DRI, we're looking for an incompatible behavior, where the two behaviors can't occur simultaneously. So in this case, Tiffany, we want her to hold her drink with both hands, which won't allow her to do what? It won't allow her to grab for mom's coffee cup. All right. If both of her hands are on her coffee cup, Tiffany can't reach out for mom's. So those behaviors are incompatible. Therefore, we are trying to use a DRI intervention. Okay. So when we're going through differential reinforcement questions, break it down like that. Okay. Ask yourself, am I teaching a replacement behavior? Okay. Am I trying to get rid of a behavior entirely? Are those behaviors compatible? Are they incompatible? As you ask yourself those questions, you can slowly eliminate other answer choices, okay, until you get to your right answer. So in this case, Tiffany holding onto her drink with both hands is incompatible with grabbing for mom's coffee cup. So we're going to use a DRI intervention. Dusty is a 6-year-old who receives ABA therapy 3 times a week. During DTT, he receives tokens on an FR2 schedule. Dusty responds quickly and has mastered several targets. If you want to start to strengthen some of Dusty's skills, what should you do next? So we've done DTT. We've taught Dusty these skills. He's mastered several of them on an FR2 schedule, which is a pretty thick schedule. He's receiving a lot of reinforcement for not a whole lot of effort. 2 responses reinforce, 2 responses reinforce. We now want to start to strengthen some of these skills because we want to get away from teaching to strengthening to maintenance and generalization. What do we need to do next? A, introduce more difficult targets and programs for Dusty. Maybe, right, if he's mastered these targets, okay, but if we want to strengthen the current skills, introducing more difficult targets and programs isn't going to help us do that. So we can eliminate A. B, change the type of reinforcement that Dusty receives. Okay, again, maybe, but it seems like the reinforcement is effective, right? Dusty's responding quickly, he's mastering targets. Whatever reinforcement we're using is very effective. We don't necessarily need to change it yet. There's no signs of satiation. Let's keep using that reinforcement that's working. Let's just change something else about our intervention. C, alter the response requirement of Dusty's reinforcement schedule. Yes, all right, so we want to strengthen Dusty's skills. He's on an FR2 schedule, a very thick schedule. Let's change that. Maybe we go to an FR4. Maybe we go to a VR3. We're going to alter and increase the response requirement of Dusty's reinforcement schedule to try to strengthen and start to maintain those behaviors. C looks like our answer. We always want to read all of our answer choices. So we go to D, implement punishment when Dusty incorrectly responds. No, right? Our intervention is clearly working with reinforcement, no punishment needed, but we're just going to start to fade our reinforcement schedule. That's the natural progression. That's the appropriate progression. As skills are learned, we start to fade and fade and fade as we strengthen our schedule or our skills. So during DTT, he receives tokens on an FR2. What should we do? Alter the response requirement of Dusty's reinforcement schedule. 134, Kamala runs an independent behavior analysis practice out of her home. A client reaches out to her who is in need of services. In exchange for services, the client offers to manage Kamala's finances. Is this acceptable? What is occurring here? This is a bartering situation. First question to ask yourself, can we barter? Can we barter for services? The answer is yes, you can barter for services. Therefore, we can eliminate A, which says, though, we should not barter for services. You are allowed to barter. Okay, you can provide services in exchange for something else. Okay, so what should that something else be? Does it have to be monetary? No, there should still be some level of monetary exchange, even if the services are bartered for. That is incorrect. That does not necessarily need to be a monetary exchange. Okay, you can barter for other things. So what? C, yes, as long as the value of the financial services is equivocal to service value. Yes, okay. As long as this financial management is equivocal to the value of services Kamala is providing, is perfectly acceptable. Why do we want these service values to be equivocal? If there is a giant discrepancy between the value Kamala is providing and the value the client's providing, okay, that might create some sort of conflict of interest, right? It might create tension, okay? It might create ethical issues. So we want the barter value to be as equal as possible. So as long as the financial advice Kamala is getting is equivocal to the services Kamala is providing, it is perfectly acceptable. C looks like our answer. What about D? Yes, but the client needs to offer something else other than financial advice. Nope, not necessarily. What is our rule? You can barter for services as long as the value of the financial services or whatever you're bartering for is equivocal to service value. 135. After 6 months, you fall in love with one of your supervisees. You express your love to them and ask them out on a date. They agree and you two begin a sexual relationship. What should your next step be? All right, you're not supposed to date your supervisees. You're not supposed to engage in sexual relations with your supervisees, but we all know things happen. Life is life. So what happens or what should you do in this situation? What is your first step? A, report the nature of the relationship to your company and other applicable parties. All right, maybe, okay, depending on your company's policy, this might be something you do, okay? It's kind of good practice anyway, disclosing this type of relationship, but it's not necessarily going to be the first thing you do based on what? Based on what we're taking this exam on, which is our task list / ethical code. You always need to think in terms of task list and ethical code when taking this exam, okay? That is what can be difficult about this exam is it's testing your knowledge of the terms, the definitions, the task list, and the code, okay? The real world is much more gray than the exam. On the exam, we need to think in terms of the information they give us and what they're testing us on. That being said, let's look at B. Terminate your supervisor relationship immediately. Yes, you cannot be in a relationship with one of your supervisees. Creates a conflict of interest, okay? You're wielding power over someone who you're supervising, okay? If they're getting hours from you, this creates all sorts of ethical issues about giving false hours, signing off on things that aren't real, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, everybody says, well, I can be in a relationship and I'll be ethical. We all want to believe that. We just know that's not necessarily always the case. So if this happens, the first thing you need to do is terminate your relationship immediately. Let's read all of our answer choices. When you're studying, you want to know why the wrong answers are wrong. C, nothing. 6 months is long enough to allow this kind of relationship. It is not, it's regardless, right? You're still supervising this person. It is unacceptable. And then to excuse yourself from working as a behavior analyst while the relationship is taking place. You don't need to do that. You don't need to end your career over this. You just need to terminate this specific supervisor relationship, go through the necessary protocols if this occurs. 136, your 18-year-old client gained 25 pounds during quarantine. Now that quarantine is over, your client wants to lose weight and start going out again. You design a behavior plan focusing on healthy eating and weight loss. Your client loses 2 pounds the first week, but now says they don't want to pursue this goal anymore or follow the plan. You tell your RBT to continue implementing the plan against the client's wishes. Is this appropriate? Okay, so your client's 18 years old, an adult by all means, right? Nothing tells us otherwise. And they want to lose weight, but then they say, well, actually, I don't really want to pursue this goal anymore or follow your plan. Against their wishes, you tell your RBT to continue implementing. Is this okay? Well, what is our rule, right? The client must be involved in services whenever possible. The client has a right to terminate or refuse services whenever they want, okay? There's no obligation for the client to accept our services. There's just not. Now, if the client's 6 years old and the parents are the ones mediating the whole thing, well, they're the parent of the client as well, okay? And their opinion is going to trump the client's opinion. However, this client is 18, okay, making their own decisions. They have a right to refuse whatever we're giving them. But you told your RBT to implement anyway. Is this appropriate? Let's look for that answer, okay? One, the answer we're looking for would be the client has a right to be involved at all times. The other answer would be the client has a right to refuse services. Try to predict your answer before going to the answer choices. A, yes, your client is deprived, which is increasing motivation for food. This is an answer of intervention and requires follow through. This is technical. Okay, this is not a technical intervention question. This is an ethical question. Okay, we can eliminate A immediately. We're not thinking about the client's state of deprivation. We're thinking about the client's wishes and the relationship. B, yes, you're responsible for the health of your client. While true, while you don't want to put your client's health in danger, you're not their guardian. You're not responsible for the health of your client. Okay, as long as what you're doing isn't putting them in danger. Okay, it is not your responsibility to tell them how to eat or live. C, no, your client has not received a medical consultation indicating they're overweight. Again, not necessary because originally they wanted to lose weight, all right, because they gained a lot of weight and they changed their mind. Medical consultation is not necessarily necessary. And then D, no, your client has the right to refuse services at any time. Yes, this is what we predicted. This is what we were looking for. Okay, they don't want to do this anymore. Let's change it up. 137, you are eligible for the COVID vaccine and decided to get vaccinated. Now that you are fully vaccinated, you are no longer required to wear a mask per CDC guidelines. However, one of your clients still requests you wear a mask. What is the most appropriate response? All right, this one is tricky, okay? Forget all of what the content, right? The COVID vaccine, the mask, okay? These are very hot topics, okay? What is the question asking? The question is asking about the client's request for you to wear a mask, okay? No different than if the client requests you to take off your shoes, okay? It's their home, right? We need to try to develop rapport. We need to respect the culture of clients. We need to respect their home. That is their environment. So if your client requests you wear a mask, what is the most appropriate response? A, comply with your client's request while in their home. Yes, this is their house. You're in their environment. It might be a cultural thing. It might be a safety thing. You don't know, okay? But while in their home, you need to respect their request with limits, right? Now, if you get a request that you feel is unnecessary or inappropriate, then we can discuss it further, right? But if it's simply a case of taking off your shoes, wearing a mask, right, we need to comply with their request while in their home. Now, if it becomes an issue, we can start to talk about switching cases, etc. Okay, but we are not going to just blatantly disregard what they're asking us to do. A looks like our best answer. Can we find a better answer? B, explain that you respect their wishes but refuse to comply with the client's request. Well, in that case, okay, that's going to be a difficult relationship to continue. So we might need to look for a different supervisor on that case. Okay. C, report the client to the BACB board for violating your rights. The client has done nothing wrong. They simply made a request. D, tell your client you will wear the mask, but remove it when they're not present. That's the worst. Okay. Lying to your client. Again, we're trying to build a good, solid foundation with this client. Respect their wishes. Okay. Build good rapport. Treat them right. Our best response here is comply with the client's request while in their home. If we can't do that, then we might need to start looking for somebody else to take this case. 138, personalized system of instruction is one of the 5 main teaching strategies that incorporates behavior analysis principles. What is the personalized system of instruction also referred to as? Okay. Remember, we have 5 of our teaching styles in ABA, and they want you to know about each of them. Maybe who developed them, how do we run them, what are they also referred to as, okay? Personalized system of instruction was developed by Keller, okay? So what is it also known as? It's also known as the Keller plan. This one's very easy, okay? I think, honestly, most people at this point, if you're getting ready for the exam, you know what PSI is and you know who developed it. So pretty straightforward question, pretty easy question, okay? It's just to reemphasize the importance of knowing the 5 types of teaching in ABA, what makes up each of those styles of teaching, and who developed them, okay? You need to know those things. 139, assume that your client is able to learn all of the following skills at the same rate and equally well. What skill should you prioritize? If you ever see a question like this, immediately you should start thinking what? Pivotal behaviors and behavior cusps. What behaviors are going to allow our client to contact reinforcement more readily in the natural environment? That's what we're prioritizing, the most socially valid and meaningful behaviors. Always think that way. So what are we going to do here? We're going to look for the most socially valid and meaningful behavior. A, cooperative play with your sibling. Okay, pretty important, right? We want them to get along with their sibling or at least be cordial. So far, A is our best answer, but it's the only one we've read. Always read all of your answer choices. B, being polite when manding for items. See this all the time, right? We're trying to teach manding. When we have the client make a request, we ask them to say please and thank you. Is being polite that important? No. If we're going to really talk about it, it's not, okay? Manding is the important thing here. Being polite, not so much. We first want them to mand, then we can work on being polite. Being polite, okay, may be more cooperative, may be more important than cooperative play, depends on who you ask, okay? Neither, though, are really that crucial yet, okay? I think we can find a better answer. C, reading at the appropriate grade level. Yes, reading is much more important than being polite or playing with their sibling. This is going to open up a whole world of reinforcement to them across their natural environment. C is definitely our best answer so far. And then D, finishing their work promptly. Finishing work promptly, again, important, but reading at the appropriate grade level might allow them to finish their work more promptly. Reading at the appropriate grade level is going to allow them to contact reinforcement much more readily, much more available, okay? And it's going to be the skill you prioritize. And the 140, your boyfriend loves to jump out from behind corners and scare you. The first one always makes you jump 3 feet in the air, but by the third or fourth time that he does it in a day, you no longer react. What is most likely occurring? Habituation, learning, self-control, or assimilation? Well, we know self-control is a misnomer, okay, because it's still controlled by the environment. Learning, right? Learning is a concept, okay? We have a more specific term that we use after repeated exposure to a stimulus where your reaction becomes less, and that is habituation. Becoming habituated to your boyfriend jumping out from behind the corners. By the fourth time he does it, you no longer react. You've habituated yourself to that stimuli, and the response is not as strong or intense. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. We'll be back next Friday with the continuation of our exam series. Saturdays, we release all of our practice question videos for the BCBA exam. Be sure to check out bcbastudy.com for our practice exam, our task list study guide, and our combo pack. Have a great holiday. Please leave me any questions or comments through email or below. Keep working hard, keep studying hard. I'll see you soon.